High above the coastal desert of southern Peru, the earth appears strangely marked. Vast shapes stretch across the barren plain, lines that run for kilometers, geometric forms that remain perfectly straight across uneven terrain, and enormous figures of animals etched into the ground with astonishing precision. From the air, they form a silent gallery of monumental designs. A hummingbird, a spider, a monkey, and countless straight lines radiating across the desert floor. But here is the unsettling part. For nearly 2,000 years, these immense images remained largely unseen by the people who created them. The Nazca Lines can only be fully recognized from high above the desert, an aerial perspective that ancient societies, as far as conventional history tells us, did not possess. Yet the scale of the designs suggests deliberate planning. They are not random scratches in the sand. They are measured, composed, and executed across vast distances. And this is where the contradiction begins. How did an ancient civilization, working without aircraft, satellites, or modern surveying equipment, design images visible only from the sky? What compelled them to transform an entire desert plateau into a canvas of monumental geometry? The Nazca Lines remain among the most haunting archaeological landscapes on Earth, not because they defy science, but because they quietly challenge our assumptions about the ingenuity and intentions of ancient people. History does not break easily, but here it bends. To understand the Nazca Lines, we must first step back into the harsh coastal deserts of southern Peru nearly 2,000 years ago. This region lies between the towering Andes Mountains and the Pacific Ocean, a land where rainfall is almost non-existent. The Nazca Desert is one of the driest places on the planet. Winds are minimal, the air is stable, and the ground, covered with dark iron-rich stones over a lighter soil, remains largely undisturbed for centuries. It was here that the Nazca Civilization flourished between roughly 200 BCE and 600 CE. Their society developed in river valleys that cut through the desert, where seasonal water from the Andes made agriculture possible. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of complex irrigation systems, ceremonial centers, and finely crafted pottery decorated with vivid images of animals, plants, and mythological beings. For many decades, the Nazca culture was understood primarily through these artifacts, pottery, textiles, and burial sites scattered across the desert valleys. The people seemed technologically modest but artistically sophisticated. Their world was shaped by ritual, environment, and the delicate balance between drought and water. Then something unusual began to emerge. Across the desert plateau, faint lines and shapes could be seen etched into the ground. At first they appeared unremarkable, perhaps ancient roads or irrigation channels. But the scale was puzzling. Some lines stretched for kilometers without deviation. Others formed massive geometric shapes. And slowly a realization took hold. These were not roads. They were drawings. The discovery of the Nazca Lines unfolded gradually during the early 20th century. Although local inhabitants had long known of the markings, their true scale was difficult to comprehend from ground level. The desert plain is vast and flat, and many of the designs are simply too large to perceive from the surface. In the 1920s, Peruvian archaeologist Toribio Mejia Zesp began studying the lines while hiking in the foothills overlooking the desert. From elevated vantage points, he noticed geometric patterns etched across the plateau. Yet even from these hills, the full designs remained elusive. The turning point came in the 1930s, when commercial aviation routes began crossing southern Peru. Passengers looking down from aircraft windows noticed something extraordinary beneath them. Enormous figures etched into the desert floor. Birds with wings stretching over 100 meters. A spider rendered with delicate precision. A monkey with a curling tail spiraling across the ground. Perfectly straight lines extending across the desert horizon. From the air, the desert revealed a hidden world of monumental art. And this is where the mystery deepened. The Nazca Lines are not carved into rock or built from raised structures. Instead, they are created through subtraction. The dark surface stones that naturally cover the desert floor were carefully moved aside, exposing the lighter soil beneath. This simple technique produces high contrast against the surrounding terrain. In most cases, the lines are only about 10 to 15 centimeters deep, yet their width can reach several meters, and their lengths can stretch for kilometers. The precision is striking. Many lines remain remarkably straight despite crossing uneven ground. Some intersect at perfect angles. Others form massive trapezoids and spirals. The animal figures, known as geoglyphs, demonstrate careful planning and consistent proportions. This is not myth. This is stone. Modern surveys have identified more than 800 straight lines, approximately 300 geometric figures, and over 70 animal and plant shapes across the Nazca Desert Plateau. Some of the figures are enormous. The hummingbird measures roughly 93 meters across. The spider extends nearly 50 meters. The condor spreads its wings over 130 meters from tip to tip. Radiocarbon dating of nearby archaeological sites suggests that most of the geoglyphs were created between 500 BCE and 500 CE, corresponding with the rise and peak of the Nazca Civilization. But here is the unsettling part. Creating such enormous designs requires planning. Even if individual lines could be drawn by following a simple path across the ground, the larger figures must have been mapped out in advance. Their proportions remain consistent across vast distances. Their curves flow smoothly across the terrain. And yet there is no evidence that the Nazca possessed aerial technology, advanced surveying instruments, or large-scale measuring devices. History does not break easily, but here it bends. Over the decades, researchers have proposed several explanations for how the Nazca people achieved this feat. One widely accepted theory suggests that the lines were constructed using simple surveying techniques. Wooden stakes have been discovered at several sites, suggesting that the Nazca may have used grids or guiding ropes to scale up smaller drawings. Experimental archaeology has demonstrated that groups of people using basic tools could recreate similar geoglyphs within days. In this sense, the technical challenge may not be as mysterious as it first appears. But the question of purpose remains far more complex. Why create images that can only be fully appreciated from above? The most widely supported interpretation comes from decades of research led by German mathematician and archaeologist Maria Reiche, who dedicated much of her life to studying and protecting the Nazca Lines. Reiche believed that many of the lines were connected to astronomy. According to her hypothesis, certain lines align with the rising or setting positions of the sun and stars during significant moments of the year, such as solstices. In this view, the desert plateau may have functioned as a kind of vast ceremonial calendar. Yet later studies using modern statistical analysis suggest that while some alignments may occur, the majority of lines do not correspond precisely with celestial events. And this is where the contradiction begins again. More recent archaeological work proposes a different interpretation. Rather than astronomical markers, the lines may have been part of ritual pathways used during religious ceremonies. Over here. The Nazca people lived in an environment defined by water scarcity. Rainfall was unpredictable, and agriculture depended heavily on underground aquifers and seasonal river flows. Many researchers now believe the geoglyphs were connected to water rituals, symbolic landscapes where communities walked along the lines in ceremonial processions meant to invoke rainfall or honor water deities. Excavations have uncovered offerings placed along some lines, including fragments of pottery, shells, and other ritual objects. The lines may have functioned not as images to be viewed from the sky, but as sacred spaces experienced from within. People may have walked the paths, participated in ceremonies, and engaged with the landscape as part of spiritual practice. In this interpretation, the enormous scale was not meant for spectators in the sky. It was meant for the gods. But here is the unsettling part. Even with these explanations, the Nazca Lines remain strangely silent about their creators' intentions. The Nazca Civilization left no written records. Their pottery and art provide glimpses into their beliefs, but no definitive explanation for the desert drawings. And so the plateau endures as a vast archaeological puzzle. Some figures may have represented animals connected to fertility or water symbolism. Others may have served as territorial markers or ritual gathering spaces. Still others may have had meanings now lost to time. The desert itself has preserved the lines with remarkable clarity. The region's extreme dryness, stable climate, and protective layer of oxidized stones have prevented erosion for centuries. Yet preservation is fragile. Modern roads, human activity, and environmental changes have already damaged some sections of the geoglyphs. Despite this, the Nazca Lines remain one of the most extraordinary archaeological landscapes on Earth. They are not a technological anomaly. They are not evidence of forgotten machines or impossible knowledge. Instead, they represent something perhaps more profound. They reveal the capacity of ancient societies to transform entire landscapes into symbolic expressions of belief. Standing on the Nazca Plateau today, one sees only fragments of lines stretching across the desert. Their shapes dissolve into the horizon, incomprehensible at ground level. But somewhere above, beyond the vantage point of the people who first created them, the full images emerge. A hummingbird suspended in the earth, a spider drawn across the desert floor, endless lines reaching toward distant mountains. And this is where the mystery lingers. The Nazca people reshaped their environment on a monumental scale, leaving behind designs that stretch across kilometers of desert. They did so with simple tools, patient labor, and intentions we can only partially reconstruct. History does not break easily, but here it bends. The Nazca Lines do not demand belief in lost technologies or hidden civilizations. They require something more difficult: the recognition that ancient cultures often understood landscape, ritual, and symbolism in ways modern observers struggle to interpret. And so the desert remains marked with these immense drawings, silent